My family canceled my flight as a prank and left me at the airport, so I canceled all their financial support. Hey Reddit. Long time lurker, first time poster here. I've been sitting on this story for a while, trying to process everything that went down, but I think I'm finally ready to share it. Sorry in advance for the wall of text, but I need to get this off my chest. For context, I'm 34M, working as a senior software engineer at a fintech startup in Seattle. I pull in decent money, not FU money, but enough to live comfortably and help out my family. And boy, did I help them out. More on that in a bit. The family history: my parents, 62M, 58F, and my younger brother, 27M, have always been, let's call it quirky. Growing up, they loved practical jokes. And I mean loved them. Nothing was off limits: birthdays, graduations, holidays, they'd find a way to prank me. Usually harmless stuff like fake gifts or jumping out of closets. I was always the butt of the joke, never the one playing them. That should have been my first red flag, but you know how it is with family, you make excuses. I remember on my 16th birthday, they got me all excited about finally getting a car. My dad blindfolded me and led me out to the driveway, making a big show of it. When I took off the blindfold, there was a toy car sitting there with a big bow on it. They laughed for weeks about that one while I saved up for a used Honda that took me 2 more years to afford. Just one example of many. When I got accepted to college with a partial scholarship, they threw a party and invited the whole extended family. Then announced to everyone that they were so proud they'd be paying for my entire education. 2 weeks later, they told me it was just a joke and I needed to apply for student loans. I still have $42,000 in student debt at 34 because of that prank. Anyway, as I got older and started making good money at my job, I became the financial backbone of the family. My dad got laid off about 7 years ago and never really bounced back career-wise. He half-heartedly applied to a few jobs at first, then just stopped. He spends most days playing golf or watching sports with his buddies, complaining about how the economy won't let guys his age get decent jobs anymore. Mom works part-time at a boutique downtown but mainly spends her days at this overpriced salon getting her hair and nails done weekly, on my dime, naturally. She always says she deserves to look nice and reminds me how she sacrificed her career to raise you boys whenever I question any expense. My brother, Alex, is one of those eternal students types who's changed his major 4 times and still hasn't graduated. First it was engineering, too much math, then psychology, too depressing, then communications, too boring, and now he's studying business administration at a private university, which, you guessed it, I'm paying for. He parties constantly and barely passes his classes, but gets defensive if I ever bring up his grades or suggest community college might be a more economical choice. The financial situation. Over the years, I've covered my brother's full tuition, $36K/year. The payments on my parents' house, $2,100 per month. My dad's ridiculous golf club membership, $800 per month. Mom's salon expenses, $600 to $900 per month. A family emergency fund they dip into regularly, $15,000 currently. Various credit card bills, car payments, insurance, etc. All told, I'm shelling out roughly $7,000 a month to support them. I wouldn't mind if they were struggling despite their best efforts, but they've basically stopped trying. They take expensive weekend trips, buy new gadgets, and eat out constantly, all while I'm living in a modest 1-bedroom apartment and driving a 10-year-old car because I'm funneling so much money their way. I never complained. I figured family helps family, right? My girlfriend Amy, 31F, has told me multiple times that they're taking advantage of me, but I always defended them. They do the same for me, I'd say. Spoiler alert, they effing wouldn't. Amy and I actually broke up last year partly because of this. She couldn't stand watching me get used by my family while they mocked me behind my back. Yes, she overheard them once making fun of me for being such a sucker. I didn't believe her at the time and accused her of trying to come between me and my family. I owe her a massive apology now, but that's a whole other story. The vacation plans. So about 6 months ago, we started planning this big family vacation to Hawaii. This wasn't some last-minute getaway, we'd been talking about it for over a year. I spent months working overtime to help cover the costs. We're talking premium flights, oceanfront suite, rental car, the works. I personally put in about $8,500 of my own money for upgrades and extras that my parents couldn't afford. I was so excited about this trip. I hadn't taken a real vacation in almost 3 years because I was always too busy working or helping them with some financial emergency. The idea of a week on the beach with no laptop, no code to debug, no production issues to fix at 2 a.m., it sounded like paradise. I'd been having some health issues too, high blood pressure, trouble sleeping, constant headaches, that my doctor straight up told me were stress-related. This vacation was supposed to be my chance to finally relax. I planned everything meticulously. Made sure our hotel room had the perfect ocean view, researched all the best local restaurants, even booked a surprise helicopter tour for everyone as a treat. I wanted this to be special, maybe even a turning point in how we related to each other as a family. The morning of the trip, we all piled into my dad's SUV, that I pay the lease on, naturally, and headed to SeaTac. The excitement was real. We hadn't had a proper family vacation in years. My parents were chatting about the beach, Alex was glued to his phone, as usual, and I was just happy to finally have a break from the 60-hour work weeks I'd been pulling. The prank. When we reached the airport check-in counter, my dad handed over the boarding passes. I noticed him and Alex exchanging these weird looks, but I didn't think much of it. The airline employee scanned the tickets, and then frowned when she got to mine. "I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not seeing your reservation in our system." I blinked. "What? That can't be right. We booked together as a family." She typed something else. "It looks like your ticket was cancelled. 2 days ago?" That's when I heard it, snickering. I turned around to see my mom, dad, and brother all struggling to contain their laughter. Alex had his phone out, obviously recording my reaction. "What's going on?" I asked, my stomach already sinking. The horrible realization was dawning on me, but I still couldn't quite believe they would do this. That's when my dad clapped me on the back, grinning like he'd just told the funniest joke ever. "Surprise, son. You're not coming." My phone buzzed. A text from my dad: "The plane's not for you. Go on a train, loser." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "This is a joke, right? You guys didn't actually cancel my ticket?" "Oh, don't be so dramatic," my mom said, rolling her eyes. "We thought it'd be funny. You always take things too seriously." "But I paid for half of this trip," I said, my voice embarrassingly shaky. "I covered the hotel upgrades, the rental car." "You work all the time anyway," my dad shrugged, already turning away. "Thought you might enjoy a little staycation." Alex wouldn't even look at me, still focused on his phone. "Relax, it's just a prank. You'll survive." The airline employee looked uncomfortable, glancing between us with a pained expression. She'd obviously seen family drama before, but this was something else. A line was forming behind us, people checking their watches impatiently, and here I was, having my entire vacation yanked out from under me as a joke. "Sir, I'm sorry, but I need to help the next customer," she said quietly. "If you want to purchase a new ticket, you can try customer service, but the flight is leaving in 2 hours and it might be fully booked." They left me standing there at the check-in counter, surrounded by strangers watching this humiliating scene unfold. My own family had just deliberately excluded me from a vacation I helped pay for, and they thought it was hilarious. They were already heading towards security, laughing and chatting like nothing had happened, while I stood there with my useless suitcase and crushed expectations. I stood there for a good 5 minutes, just processing what had happened. The anger built slowly, then all at once. This wasn't just a harmless prank. This was a message: I wasn't family to them. I was an ATM with legs. The realization. I texted back a simple okay. And left the airport. They probably thought I was going to slink home and sulk, maybe binge some Netflix until they got back. But I had other plans. The drive home was a blur. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white, fighting back tears of humiliation and rage. Not just about the vacation, but about the years, of being used and mocked by the people who were supposed to love me most. The moment I got back to my apartment, where I live alone with my goldfish, Maurice, yes, I named him after the character from Beauty and the Beast, judge me, I sat down at my computer. I pulled up my banking app and just stared at it for a minute, looking at all the recurring payments. Monthly transfer to my parents' checking account, $3,400. Alex's tuition payment, due next week, $9,000. Dad's golf club membership, $800. Mom's salon fund, $750. Plus random Venmo requests they send practically weekly. It was all there in black and white. The evidence of how completely I'd been letting myself be used. For years, I'd told myself it was just me being a good son, a good brother. But now I saw it for what it really was: exploitation, pure and simple. I went to the kitchen and poured myself a stiff drink. My hands were shaking. I texted my old therapist, Dr. K, and asked if I could get an emergency session. Then I went back to my computer and just stared at the screen. For the first time, I saw these transfers for what they really were: not help, not support, but exploitation. These people had just humiliated me in public, laughed in my face, and left me stranded, after I'd worked myself to the bone to help give them a luxury vacation. F that noise. I started canceling everything. First, Alex's tuition payment, due in a week. Cancel. Next, Dad's precious golf club membership. Cancel. Mom's salon fund? Bye-bye. That emergency account they treat like their personal piggy bank? Password changed, access revoked. I went through my credit cards and removed them as authorized users. I contacted my bank and made sure they couldn't access any of my accounts. I even called the rental car company in Hawaii and canceled the reservation. They could figure out their own transportation. It took me less than 15 minutes to undo years of financial dependence. And you know what? I felt effing great. Like I just lost 300 pounds of dead weight. My phone buzzed with a text from my mom: just landed. The beach is amazing. Hope you're not too mad, sweetheart. It was just a joke. Love you. I turned off my phone without responding. Let them enjoy their vacation. The storm would be waiting when they got back. The week alone. For the next week, I did exactly what they thought I'd do, stayed home, watched Netflix, and ordered way too much takeout. But I also did something else. I started therapy again. Dr. K fit me in the very next day, and we had 3 intense sessions that week. Turns out being your family's personal bank while they treat you like really does a number on your self-esteem. Who knew, right? Dr. K helped me realize how toxic this dynamic had been for years. We talked about boundaries, self-worth, and the difference between helping family and enabling harmful behavior. You're not helping them by letting them use you, she said during one session. You're actually making it easier for them to avoid growing up and taking responsibility for themselves. I also reconnected with Amy. I sent her a long email explaining everything that had happened and apologizing for not listening to her warnings. She agreed to meet for coffee, and though we're not back together romantically, it was healing to have her validation that I wasn't crazy for feeling used. The first message came 3 days into their trip. Alex, hey Mike, my tuition payment is due. Can you send it over? No, how are you? No apology, not even an acknowledgement of what happened. Just straight to asking for money. The effing audacity. Oh, I think you should ask mom and dad, I replied. After all, they're the ones in charge now, right? He didn't respond right away. A few hours later, my mom messaged, Michael, honey, I need you to send the usual for the salon. The payment is overdue. You wouldn't want your mother to be embarrassed, would you? Again, no apology, no mention of the prank. Just the assumption that I'd keep the cash flowing. Sorry mom, I'm taking a break from paying for things. Maybe try a cheaper salon, or ask dad. Then came the inevitable call from my father. I almost didn't answer, but part of me wanted to hear what excuse he'd come up with. The moment I picked up, he was already yelling. Michael, what the hell is this nonsense? The golf club just emailed me saying my membership payment was declined. Are you seriously not covering it this month? I couldn't help but laugh. Oh, you mean your golf club membership? The one you made fun of me for never using? Yeah, I canceled that. Figured you could afford it yourself. Or maybe take a train to a public park instead, loser. There was a pause before he exploded. Don't be ridiculous. You've always covered it. What kind of son refuses to help his own family? The kind whose family thinks it's funny to cancel his flight and leave him stranded like a joke, I replied, surprised at how calm I sounded. Another silence. Then the predictable guilt trip, you're overreacting. It was just a joke. Now stop this nonsense and send the money. Not happening, I said firmly. Maybe you should budget better, or cut back on those expensive vacations. I hung up before he could respond. For the first time in years, I felt something close to peace. They had relied on me for so long without a second thought, assuming my wallet would always be open. Well, not anymore. Over the next few days, their messages became increasingly desperate. Alex tried calling 3 more times, each voicemail more urgent than the last. My mother sent a novel-length text about how family supports each other. The irony was apparently lost on her. My father alternated between rage and emotional manipulation, neither of which worked. Then I got a message from my mom. Michael, we're coming home early. We need to talk. Perfect, I thought. Let them come. The confrontation. I spent the next day preparing. I cleaned my apartment spotlessly, bought groceries, for myself only, and even put on a nice shirt. I wanted to look completely put together when they arrived, not like someone who'd been devastated by their prank. I also prepared mentally. Dr. K and I role-played the confrontation, anticipating their arguments and manipulations. I wrote down key points I wanted to make and practiced saying no without justification or apology. It felt strange. I'd spent so many years saying yes to them automatically. The moment they walked through my door, the tension was palpable. My father threw his carry-on down, face red with fury. My mother followed, still wearing her expensive sunglasses pushed up on her head, as if she'd just stepped out of a magazine instead of a family crisis. Alex slunk in behind them, looking more worried than angry. How dare you? My father growled. You canceled everything? My golf membership, your mother's salon, and your brother's tuition? I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. That's right. Thought it was funny to leave me stranded at the airport. Well, I'm just returning the favor. My mother's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Alex wasn't as restrained. Mike, come on, he pleaded, the cockiness from the airport completely gone. My tuition is due. I'll get kicked out of school. I laughed, not a happy laugh, but a cold one. Not my problem. Maybe mom and dad should have thought of that before playing their little prank. My father slammed his palm on my coffee table, making my PlayStation controller jump. We are your family. We raised you. You owe us. I stood up then, looking him directly in the eye. No, I don't. You've taken my money for granted, treated me like a walking ATM, and humiliated me. Congratulations, now you're on your own. My mother started crying, those big crocodile tears she's so good at producing on command. It was just a joke, sweetheart. We didn't think you'd take it this way. And this is just a lesson, I replied, grabbing my keys. I'm going out. Lock up when you leave. As I reached the door, I couldn't resist one parting shot. Good luck figuring things out, losers. The look on their faces was almost worth the lost vacation. Almost. The aftermath. The aftermath was both satisfying and sad. For days, my phone blew up with calls and texts that I mostly ignored. They tried everything: guilt trips, apologies, anger, even threats to tell the extended family I was abandoning them. None of it worked. Dr. K helped me stay strong, reminding me that their reactions were just more manipulation. I started living for myself for the first time in years. I bought some new clothes, started hitting the gym, and even put a deposit down on a nicer apartment, all things I'd been putting off because I was funneling so much money to my family. My health improved almost immediately. My blood pressure started coming down, I was sleeping better, and those constant headaches disappeared. My performance at work improved too, and my boss noticed. I got put on a more interesting project and started feeling passionate about coding again instead of just seeing it as a way to support everyone else. Then the real panic set in for them. My parents' bank account hit zero, bills started piling up, and reality finally sank in. They'd been living beyond their means for years, with me quietly covering the gap, and now that safety net was gone. About a week after our confrontation, I got a video call request. Against my better judgment, I answered. My mother's face filled the screen, her usual perfect makeup replaced by puffy eyes and exhaustion. "Michael, please," she whispered. "We need your help. We didn't realize how much we depended on you." My father appeared behind her, his pride visibly crushed. "Look, son," he forced out, "we made a mistake. But punishing us like this, it's too much." Alex leaned into frame. "Mike, I'm going to get kicked out of school. Please, just help with the tuition at least." I let the silence stretch out, watching them squirm. Part of me wanted to cave, to fall back into the pattern we'd established for years. But I remembered Dr. K's words: helping them now would only reinforce that they can treat you however they want with no consequences. I gave them the answer they feared: no. Their faces crumpled. My mother sobbed. My father's head dropped. Alex cursed under his breath. But I felt nothing, not guilt, not regret, just a profound sense of finally standing up for myself. "I'm done being used," I said quietly. "Figure it out yourselves." I ended the call and sat in silence for a long time afterward. Breaking free from their manipulation was both liberating and painful. These were the people who raised me, who were supposed to love me unconditionally. Instead, they'd seen me as nothing more than a resource to exploit. The new normal. In the months since then, a lot has changed. My parents had to downsize to a much smaller house in a less prestigious neighborhood. Dad actually got a job at a sporting goods store, imagine that, working for a living. Mom switched to a budget salon and started picking up more shifts at the boutique. Alex transferred to community college and got a part-time job as a barista. The first few months were rough. They'd call me crying about how they couldn't pay bills or how embarrassed they were to lose their status symbols. The extended family got involved too, aunts and uncles calling to tell me I should forgive and forget because they're still your parents. I had to block a few numbers for a while. As for me, I got a promotion at work. Turns out when you're not constantly stressed about supporting 4 adults, your job performance improves. I joined a hiking group and started making new friends who didn't know me as the family ATM. I even adopted a second goldfish to keep Maurice company. I named her Lumiere, continuing the Beauty and the Beast theme. I also met someone new, Ellie. We've been dating for about 2 months now, and it's different. Healthier. She actually appreciates me for who I am, not what I can provide. The first time she insisted on splitting the check on a date, I almost cried. It seems so simple, but after years of one-way financial relationships, it felt revolutionary. And I've kept up with therapy, working through the complex emotions of setting boundaries with toxic family members. Dr. K says I've made incredible progress, but there's still work to do, especially around my tendency to people please and my fear of confrontation. My parents and brother have made some tentative attempts at reconciliation. Small texts here and there, awkward phone calls on holidays. I'm civil but distant. Dr. K says that's healthy. I don't need to cut them off completely if I don't want to, but I also don't need to jump back into financially supporting them. The last time my dad called, he actually asked how I was doing before mentioning money, progress, I guess. My mom sent a birthday card that didn't include a Venmo request. Baby steps. Alex is actually doing better in community college than he ever did at the private university. Turns out having to work for something gives you motivation to succeed. Will I ever trust them completely again? Probably not. But I've learned something valuable through all this. Real family doesn't treat you like an ATM, and real love doesn't come with humiliation. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is step back and say enough. Oh, and I finally took that Hawaii vacation, solo. Turns out watching the sunset over the ocean is much more enjoyable when you're not surrounded by people calculating how much they can squeeze out of you. I even did that helicopter tour I'd originally booked for the family. The pilot asked if I was sad to be seeing the islands alone, and I just smiled. Not at all, I told him. For the first time in years, I'm exactly where I want to be. The lesson? Looking back now, I realized that what happened at the airport was actually a gift in disguise. Without such a dramatic wake-up call, I might have continued supporting them indefinitely, growing more resentful but never finding the courage to break free. That prank showed me exactly how they saw me, not as a son or brother, but as a resource to exploit and mock. Some days are still hard. I see happy families in restaurants or parks and feel a pang of what might have been. But then I remember that what I was living wasn't a healthy family dynamic at all. It was financial abuse masked as family obligation. I'm rebuilding my savings now, planning for my own future instead of funding everyone else's present. I'm teaching a coding bootcamp on weekends to help others break into the field. I'm even thinking about buying a house next year, something that would have been impossible while supporting 4 adults. TLDR, my family canceled my flight as a prank and left me at the airport after I helped pay for our vacation. I responded by canceling all their financial support, tuition payments, bills, golf memberships, salon funds, everything. They came crawling back when they realized they couldn't survive without my money, but I stood my ground. Now they're learning to support themselves, and I'm finally living for me. Edit, holy F, this blew up overnight. Thanks for all the awards and support. To answer some common questions. Yes, I really was paying that much for them every month. It started small, helping with a bill here, covering an emergency there, but snowballed over the years. No, I never signed any formal agreements for Alex's tuition or anything else. It was all voluntary, and stupid of me, I know. For those asking if I ever got my $8,500 back for the vacation expenses, nope. Consider it the price of finally seeing their true colors. A few people mention narcissistic family dynamics. You're not wrong. My therapist and I have discussed this extensively. To everyone saying I should have cut them off years ago, you're right, but hindsight is 20/20, and family manipulation is a hell of a drug. So Reddit, was I justified in cutting them off financially after years of support, or did I overreact to what they claim was just a prank?